Hello, my mathematicians. Today we are looking at Module 10, Lesson 5, and we are going to be looking at using representations of divisions of whole numbers by unit fractions. Hopefully by the end of this, you'll be able to create a story context and use a visual fraction model to interpret the division of a whole number by a unit fraction. So it says Carlos has a honey jar. Write a word problem about the honey jar that can be modeled by the expression 5 divided by 1/2. How can a visual model be used to solve the problem? Explain your thinking. Well, we can say that Carlos divides the jar, the 5-pound jar, into smaller containers. How many 1/2 pound containers can Carlos fill with the honey from the jar? And then we're going to draw 5 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to split them in half so we get 10. So 5 circles, each divided in half, gives us 10 1/2 containers. Okay, our next page says Elsa uses the plank of wood to make a craft. So we have a 3-foot long plank of wood. So to make a craft project at the community center. What word problem can you write about the plank of wood that can be modeled by 3 divided by 1/4? Well, Elsa has a 3 feet long plank of wood. She cuts it into 1/4 foot long pieces. How many pieces does she have? And it says, how do the quantities represent the dividend, the divisor, and the quotient? Well, the dividend is the length of wood. The divisor is the length of each piece. And the quotient, the number of pieces. And it says draw a visual model to show the quotient. So we're going to start with 3. So there's 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. And then we're cutting each into fourths. And then it says use your visual model to write a division equation. So we do 3 divided by 1/4 equals, we have 12 pieces. So Elsa has 12 1/4 foot pieces of wood. So Lynn prepares some appetizers for a party. Write a word problem about the appetizers that can be modeled by the expression 2 divided by 1/8. Use a visual model to help solve the problem. Well, we could say Lynn uses 2 pita breads to make appetizers. Each appetizer is 1/8 of a pita bread. How many appetizers does Lynn make? So what quantities in store represent dividend, divisor, and quotient? So dividend is the number of pita breads. Divisor is the size of each appetizer. And the quotient is the number of appetizers. This is draw a visual model to show the quotient. So we're going to start with 2. And we're going to divide each into 8ths. And this is describe the number of equal parts in your visual model and what they represent. So there are 16 parts, and they represent the number of appetizers. It says use your work to write a division equation, then write the statement to interpret the quotient for the situation. So we are going to have 2 divided by 1/8 equals 16. So Lynn makes 16 appetizers. Okay. So then we have our last problem here. It says Zoe wants to make some raisin cookies. She has a stick of butter. Write a word problem using the stick of butter that can be modeled by the expression 8 divided by 1/3. So if we look here, 1 stick of butter is 8 tablespoons. Each raisin cookie has 1/3 tablespoon of butter. How many raisin cookies can Zoe make with a stick of butter? So then we're going to draw. So we have 8 tablespoons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to cut them into thirds. And then it says to interpret the quotient in the context of my word problem. So I'm going to say we have 8 divided by 1/3. And if I count all my pieces, that gives me 24. So Zoe can make 24 raisin cookies. So that is all for today's lesson. Hopefully now you can create a story context and use a visual fraction model to interpret the division of a whole number by unit fraction. And remember, in order to be a math person, all you have to do is be a person and do math.